don't care if I would be your best spokesperson. I'm not doing it. Especially if it's for a senior living facility. Listen, I don't think you know who you're talking to. I have got 10,000 subscribers. Why are you laughing? It's true. I do. Some of them even watch my videos. Sometimes. I'm still not doing it. Listen, why don't you get Criminali? That guy'll do anything for cash. And has. It was Criminali. Sorry. I've been pestered with such phone calls. Haven't we, Roger? So, hello, my friends, hello. And welcome once again to the stately Vaughan Manor, where Roger and I are here with our 10,000 subscribers special. It's our super spectacular. Look how spectacular it is. Yeah, so a couple folks had the idea that for my 10,000 subscriber video, because, you know, us BookTube people, whenever we reach a milestone, we do a special video. That's part of the contract, I think. Anyway, so a couple people had the idea that we should use this opportunity to make a shout-out video for other BookTube channels. You know, ones that are good. So I thought that was a good idea. So this is my shout-out super spectacular. Now, I'm going to just shout out BookTube channels that at the moment, at the time of this filming, have under 500 subscribers. It seems to me that the first 500 subscribers are the hardest to get. After that, it's much easier. But trying to get that first 500, that can be tough. I mean, as far as channel growth and subscribers and everything, a lot of that is due to luck. Very often, it's kind of if the mysterious YouTube algorithm latches on to one of your videos and actually, you know, shows it to people and people can see it, then you'll get subscribers. But like I said in the beginning, that can be difficult. And sometimes you could be doing this for a while and not get that 500 subscribers. There are a couple people I'm going to be talking about, you know, that have been doing this a while and should have, well, more than me, but don't. It's just, you know, who knows? But all these channels are great. Some are new, some have been around a while. But they are all, at the moment, under 500 subscribers. And 500 is, I think, well, you might think this crazy, but I kind of think 500 is a more important milestone than, say, 1,000. Because 500, at that point, you've developed a real audience. There are people who really like your stuff and are watching you. You know that. Out of that 500, there's a certain amount that are actually watching everything you do. And growth after that point is easier. So let's talk about these fantastic BookTube channels. All of these channels are great. So let's talk about them. Now, I was going to keep this down to 10, and then it went to 12, and then... So I cut it off. What did I cut off? I think at 15, 16, something like that. So I'm missing people, I know. So hopefully I'll be able to do this another time. But let's start off. And this is in no particular order except for the last one, who is the greatest booktuber of all time. So you already know who that is. So let's start off with Telltalebooks. Emily and Greg from Telltalebooks, a fantastic BookTube channel. This one's really good. In this one, Emily and Greg will discuss stories and books in a really in-depth, intelligent way. Just really interesting discussion about books, a lot of classic books, a lot of science fiction and some horror and some other stuff. The kind of talk about different things, but Telltale Books definitely is a channel that needs a bigger audience because they're really, really good. This is quality BookTube stuff right here. So Telltale Books is the first one I'm going to mention. And next, I'm going to mention Big Al Does BookTube. And boy, does he. Big Al Does BookTube. Now, Big Al talks mostly about fantasy, so he'll probably have 1,000 subscribers by next week, but at the moment, still under 500. But a really good booktuber gets right to the point, Big Al does. He'll tell you just what he thinks. He doesn't care what anybody else thinks. He'll tell you what he thinks. Honest, straight to the point, Big Al is. So check out Big Al. And next I'm going to be talking about Bookbound Weirdo. Bookbound Weirdo, Celeste at Bookbound Weirdo. This is an excellent channel. I discovered Bookbound Weirdo through Criminali's great event, Garbogust. She did a lot of excellent videos, and she also does a lot of videos not just on books, but on movies. She's done a really interesting series of videos on horror movies, and I love horror movies, so of course I love that stuff. So an excellent channel. You definitely should check out Bookbound Weirdo. So next we're going to be moving on to Book Rising with Bart J. Gilbertson. Book Rising. Bart has a huge collection of fantasy literature. This guy loves fantasy, loves it. And he did a book tour recently that is fantastic. It's a few videos long. Really well done. Excellent stuff. He knows how to make a video, this guy. Relatively new, but a really, really great channel. Yeah, so definitely check out Book Rising with Bart J. Gilbertson. And so next we're going to move on to Book Time with Ryan. Yes, Book Time with Ryan. Last time I checked, still was under 500. I don't think it'll take him too much longer to get above that, because Book Time with Ryan is a fantastic channel. He's been on for a while. I discovered him when he did reviews for the Jaws books. Not just Jaws, but Jaws 2 and Jaws the Revenge, I think. And he has an interesting perspective. He's been in the Coast Guard, so he knows a thing or two about that sort of thing. And he does some really interesting reviews. Great channel, Book Time with Ryan, so definitely check that out. Next, It Came from the Page. It Came from the Page. It Came from the Page is fantastic. Talks a lot of horror and that kind of thing, but he has interesting tastes. He likes a lot of the vintage stuff. He likes Animal Attacks books. He likes novelizations, and very few people on BookTube will admit to that. I'm another person who does, but he really likes them. He always does really entertaining videos. Again, another guy that is really, really honest about his thoughts on books and other things. He'll tell you just what he thinks. It Came from the Page. Fantastic, tremendously entertaining. And he's got cats, so, you know, there's that. Now let's move on to J. Scott Phillips. J. Scott Phillips. Another relatively new booktuber, but really, really good. This guy's solid. This guy's a solid professional. He makes great videos. He talks mostly about science fiction. He knows his stuff, and he does fantastic work. Just brilliant videos. J. Scott Phillips. I'm tremendously impressed by this guy's work, so definitely check him out. Now let's move on to one of the greatest booktubers of all time, Pax Panic. Pax Panic. I was surprised. I checked, and she, at the time of this filming, still has not reached 500 subscribers yet. She's getting closer. She should have 50,000 subscribers because Pax Panic is that good. She does focus a lot on horror, dark fiction, dark poetry. that kind of stuff. And when you're into that kind of stuff, and that's kind of what you talk about, your audience tends to be smaller than, say, if you were to talk about fantasy or something, but devoted. And people who watch Pax Panic love Pax Panic. I know, I'm one of them. I've been a big fan since Pax first started. She is amazing. Amazing. Her videos are amazing. Just so you know. Pax Panic, amazing. Now let's move on to Sound and Fury book reviews with Tina of Sound and Fury book reviews. She is someone who focuses on science fiction books, sometimes vintage science fiction books. Excellent reviews, brilliant stuff, really intelligent reviews, well thought out, always entertaining, an excellent channel, which, like I say, focuses for the most part on science fiction. Really good stuff, really good stuff. Sound and Fury book reviews, highly recommended. So let's move on to my old friend, the Bookclectic. The Bookclectic. I've been watching the Bookclectic for a long time. Since before I started, actually, I've been watching the Bookclectic. And she will talk about all sorts of books, fantasy, science fiction, all kinds of stuff the Bookclectic will talk about. And she's another booktuber with a wonderful personality, with really interesting views, and just does great videos. The Bookclectic. I'm surprised, again, another person that I'm surprised doesn't have a bigger audience, perhaps because she focuses on book reviews and that kind of thing, but who knows? It's a mystery. Like I say, sometimes it's just luck. But you should definitely check out the Bookclectic, because this is a booktuber that actually inspired me to do what I do. But don't hold that against her. So let's move on to Tome Raider. Tome Raider vanished for a little while, but now Tome Raider is back. I love Tome Raider. Tome Raider is just charming and wonderful. She's a charming and wonderful booktuber who talks about, again, a different assortment of books, different types of books, but likes fantasy and science fiction like I do. Another booktuber who will give you just some really entertaining, fun videos, really well thought out, really smart, excellent stuff. Tome Raider, man. You have to check out Tome Raider. I love Tome Raider. Now let's move on to Limslyceum. Liam, look how moody Liam is. No, Liam's great. Liam's channel focuses a lot on fantasy, but also on sword and sorcery. And classic sword and sorcery, which you do not get enough of on BookTube at all. So Liam's Lyceum, and quality stuff. I mean, just sharp, wonderful videos, which really talk in depth about all of these classic fantasy novels and stories that no one else talks about very often. You get a good variety of really interesting videos from Liam at Liam's Lyceum. So if you're into fantasy, definitely check out Liam's Lyceum, because he will talk about things, like I said, that other people just don't talk about and that people should know about. And so, yeah, great stuff. Great stuff, Liam at Liam's Lyceum. Now let's move on to Disshelved with Adam White. Disshelved with Adam White. Disshelved with Adam White. Fantastic BookTube channel. Relatively small channel because Adam will talk about a lot of books that a lot of people don't read. He'll talk about classic pulp. He'll talk about indie fantasy. He will give individual book reviews about that stuff and comic books. And trust me, man, no one watches your comic book videos. But he'll talk about all of that stuff. He'll talk about a lot of stuff other people don't read. Sometimes he will talk about some popular stuff. But for a lot of booktubers who focus on individual book reviews, those videos don't tend to take off right away. They kind of, their viewership grows over time. But excellent stuff. I mean, he will introduce you to some great books. He'll make you spend money, though. That's the only thing with Adam that I've noticed, is that he makes Roger spend money, right, Roger? Roger's the one that buys all the books around here. And Roger, he watches Adam all the time and ends up spending a ton of dough. So that's the only danger, but trust me, well worth it. Well worth watching Disshelved with Adam White. Now let's get terrifying with Mr. Morningstar. Mr. Morningstar. Mr. Morningstar is kind of frightening. I think he might be the son of Satan. Do you think so? That's the rumor. Mr. Morningstar makes these wonderful, really short, really brilliant films. His BookTube videos are little movies, little films, and they're incredibly creative. Short, but they pack a punch. It's amazing. They're amazing little films. And they're just so well done and intelligent and awesome. Mr. Morningstar, again, another content creator who should be huge and probably will be eventually. But I love Mr. Morningstar's stuff. I mean, he's terrifying, but you know, what do you do? Thank goodness I'm pals with a really brave macho guy like, hey y'all, listen up. Hey y'all, listen up. The most macho booktuber who has ever lived. Has there ever been somebody more manly than Hey Y'all Listen Up? Probably not. And he's also got a great channel. Fantastic channel, Hey Y'all Listen Up. Talks a lot about fantasy. Again, some classic fantasy as well as some new stuff. We'll talk about science fiction as well. And again, really interesting reviews. It's always worth your time to listen to Hey Y'all Listen Up. Brilliant channel. I love it. I love this guy's channel. And he's got a lava lamp, which, you know, it's worth it right there. Now we're going to move on. This is the last on my list. And I know I've left people out. I know. There are a couple people who are like, I know, I missed you. Nothing personal. I will definitely get to you next time I do this. But I can't not mention the greatest booktuber who ever lived, who inexplicably still has less than 500 subscribers, and I do not understand that because he is James Holder. He's James Holder, man. James Holder is the greatest booktuber alive. He really is, and he has been forever. I love James. Such a wonderful personality, such a smart person, and there's no nonsense in his videos. He doesn't do anything fancy. It's all about the books and talking about the books. Possibly that is why he's one of these smaller booktubers. Again, though, those of us who watch him love him. James Holder is the best. He's the best. He's the king, James Holder. And so definitely, if you have not watched James Holder, watch James Holder. Again, one of those booktubers who inspired me to do this. And again, don't blame James for my nonsense, but excellent booktuber. Please watch James. More people should. You will be happy you did. You'll be happy you did. He's fantastic. All of these booktubers are fantastic. And I'll shut up now because I've gone on for 20 minutes. But I will leave all of these channels in the description box below. I can't put them up here because I'm too dumb. So I will just leave them in the description box below. Thank you for spending your time here at Stately Vaughan Manor. And I will catch you next time.